I don't know too much about HTML5 as in other than YouTube's beta launch, but how do you see it in perspective to YouTube's official coding?
Okay, so you're talking specifically about video playback
Yeah,
on
like
the web?
making
Okay.
it their default.
Okay, so HTML5 is a specification that, to my knowledge, has not really been made official by any committees. In fact, it's been said that Adobe is actually holding back the ratification, largely because of the video element and some richer features that one might find in HTML5 that would basically replace some things that you would currently only be able to find inside of proprietary platforms like Adobe's Flash. Inevitably, I believe video playback will be handled now in HTML5 because it can. Number one, it can happen in HTML5. Number two, we don't need anything terribly complex with video playback. I can play. Tell you the truth.
Do you think HTML5 will like dominate Flash though?
No, it won't dominate Flash. That's not accurate. Flash does a lot more than just video playback. But I can tell you that 90% of the problems that I have inside my web browser are not related to the browser, but related to Flash, and largely in video playback. I can play back a video in HTML5 with a supported browser, and my CPU takes up far less cycles. I take up far less resources playing the same video. So, HTML5 can handle some things better. And I don't even want to go into the encoding and the decoding of video. It's just raw playback. Flash has done what it's done. It's been great. It's seen its time though. HTML5 in terms of video playback, I do believe will replace Flash within the next 5 years. Is it going to happen overnight? No, not any sooner than that. HTML5 playback happens on the iPad or the iPhone right now.
Right.
Flash doesn't need to exist. It doesn't need to exist in the browser. Microsoft has thrown in support for HTML5. You got Firefox, WebKit, which of course Safari is based on. Pretty much every browser out there is going to support it in one way, shape, or form. And so, the reliance or the need to rely on Flash anymore for video playback, minimal. If YouTube switches to HTML5 outright, you're going to hear a lot of people complain, certainly. I don't think they'd do it until they knew that most of their audience could handle video playback with HTML5 or through some kind of plugin to make it work.
Yeah, because they have to switch. If they start using IE targetedly,
but they
would have to switch.
They've already kind of turned away support for IE6. So what's to say they wouldn't turn away support and say you need to use Google Chrome or Safari or Firefox in order to watch YouTube? You know what? People would do it.
Yeah.
They'd do it.
Would. That's because YouTube has so much demand, though.
But with demand, they can control.
Yeah.
And if YouTube's already testing an HTML5 player, trust me, the writing's on the wall. The writing is on the wall.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. You can play my live video feed on the iPad or the iPod Touch or the iPhone right now with HTML5. Can't do it with Flash. And it looks better in HTML5, looking at the raw source.
That's another thing. Like, anytime I enable HTML5 beta, I can never rank up in high quality. It's always 360p.
They're beta testing. It's to be expected. Not perfect.
Yeah.
That's less a shortcoming in the of YouTube, and it could be more of a shortcoming in the browser support for the video tag in HTML5 in general. Like I said, it's not final. There's really no set of specs that one might adhere to know that everybody else, in terms of browsers, was going to support the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, I know I said that was the last question, but I have one more. As an iTunes CPU usage, do you think in the next update or like iTunes 10 that might go down? Because everybody's switching to VLC and it's getting real annoying. Because I personally don't like VLC.
For what? Playback?
Yeah. And everything. I mean, it takes like, on my computer with 2.5 gigs of RAM and Intel dual-core processor, it takes about like, I don't know, 20 seconds for iTunes to open. And, in another 10 seconds for everything to get configured. It's just like, come on already.
I'm not a fan of iTunes. I've long believed it needed to be rewritten. Hell, I was saying that back in iTunes version 7. It will, eventually evolve. Will it become less resource hungry? I don't know. It depends on how Apple, codes the next version of it. Whether it will be optimized for the platforms and technologies that Apple's been, championing.
But the only thing is that I always have to open iTunes anytime I want to do something to my iPhone, and
Right.
it's just like for that kind of support, I want that to go faster.
I'm not in disagreement. Apple's not likely to abandon iTunes. I would like to, however, see some massive, massive changes in the next version. I think we all would. I don't think you can find an iTunes fan on the planet who wouldn't say that it's got its problems. It's worked well to this point, but yeah, that's got to change. One thing that might speed it up is it's kind of a sad workaround, but I find that it works dramatically faster when I'm running it on a system that has an SSD versus having running off the hard drive.
Yeah. Okay.
It seems to be more disk intensive than it seems to be, CPU. Not to say that it doesn't take CPU or memory, but I think that the faster disk you have, I think that the faster it seems that, everything runs, but iTunes specifically, because it's managing a library of files. So these files are sitting on your drive, and the faster your drive is, the more responsive iTunes and systems like that are going to be.
Okay. Well, thanks for answering all my questions.